Welcome back, friends. Two co-pilots, not logical. All right, so we're talking about the father being at the head of the house in areas defined between the husband and wife, but not solely in a subjective way. First, there has to be a moral consideration above economic. So, on to two co-pilots. A family with no true authority vested in one person will be rudderless in the stormy sea of life as it exists on this earth. It will not be able to survive crises that inevitably develop when choice is deadlocked. The example may be given of an airplane. It needs a pilot and a co-pilot. To have two co-pilots with equal choice in moments of need and crisis will end in disaster. The same can be said of a ship or of an automobile. The ship needs a captain. The auto needs a driver. Two people cannot steer a car through a maze of traffic if both have equal choice in steering. Sooner or later, a situation will come up where one will brake while the other steps on the gas. One will veer to the left and the other to the right. The co-pilot in a plane may be more skilled than the pilot. The driver of a car less skilled than a passenger. But when the plane is in motion and the car moves along the road, the pilot and the driver have to be in command. So, why the husband? The reason for saying that the husband rather than the wife is the head of the family goes deeper than culture and custom. And it kind of goes a little hearkening maybe to the Iliad in the opening response. It's based on the plan of God as known from logical thinking about the nature of the two sexes. It's also based on strong indications in Revelation. Logically, as based on her nature, a woman has a need to be submissive. She wants to be led and guided. That doesn't mean this father doesn't say this. We're not talking everywhere and at all times. He's talking within the context of a Catholic marriage. She becomes more womanly and more lovable when she follows this bent of nature given her by the Creator. As she becomes more lovable, the influence over her husband in leading him to make the right choices increases. He wants more to please her. He tries harder to make the correct choices. The husband, as given to him by the Creator, has more need to command, to lead. It is not that he is pig-headed. This is a need of nature implanted by the Creator who made that nature. What is said here has a general application, but more so in the particular context of the husband-wife relationship. And that's, I had to interject there because I know I could just hear the objection, right? You can hear my objection.
Oh, I mean, yes, because, but to be frank, the modernist has lost an absolute, I mean, look where we are. Women who are truly modernist, who have embraced all of the radical thinking that has been thrown down our throats for year upon year upon year, cannot anymore, will not any longer define what it means to be a woman. They sit there in a woman's body. They knew that they were a woman 5 years ago. And yet, because the modern language has said that you don't know who you are anymore, that the ability to define herself has gone out the window. So, I mean, really, at some point, she is going to lose herself. I mean, what was the great line? You know, don't become so open-minded that your brain falls out.
Yeah.
I mean, surely we are at that point right now. And I'm sorry, at some point, her ability to no longer define herself will give everyone the reality of being able to have no confidence in her. Because one can only have confidence in something that is, not something that doesn't know what it is. And even now, you can see how we are so far along the path of not knowing, because we have eschewed the rightful responsibilities of what maleness and femaleness demand of us in the human person, that we literally have just celebrated a man who wore a female swimming suit into a female race as being the NCAA Woman of the Year. You know, all of the quote unquote women of the year this past year are men.
Right.
And
We don't see that happening in the men's world, do we?
well, why would it?
Right.
I mean, really, with all due respect, I mean, I'm 5 feet and 1/2 inch. Even were I to take testosterone and other hormones, men would laugh at me because I have no innate authority. So, I mean, it's part of it is simply, and this is the logical element of biology, right? I mean, we made this Faustian bargain a long time ago when we said that women could be soldiers, when we said that women could be police officers, when we said that women could be firemen. I'm sorry, with all due respect, I would pity the family of 5 with 3 children stuck on the top roof if I was the fireman to show up. I would feel a great sorrow for them because I would know innately that even if I could do 50 pull-ups on my own, even if I could pass all of their tests, when push comes to shove, I am not going to be able to get their children out of that house. And it's simply a reality of biology that we are, and I know that I'm probably beating a little bit the dead horse here, but the reality comes back to the fact that man thinks that he can master nature. But that is not God, that is not what God called us into. He called us into a stewardship of it, which is radically different from being a master thereof. And you know, we are not going to be able to right the ship until people of goodwill fundamentally recognize that there is an ultimate purpose and an ultimate goodness for why man was created in a dual nature. I mean, God didn't have to create us this way. He didn't. He chose to. And it will redound to our own sorrow or to our own goodness, depending upon how we choose to live the truth of that dual reality of the human person.
That's right. So father will take a turn to the mother as model. Speaking of dual. Logically, too, children, if they're to learn the meaning of authority, have to have a model to follow. They find this model in their mother, who obeys their father and recognizes in him a real authority backed up by God. Unless a child has this model, the child cannot develop a true concept of the meaning of authority and its needs in human affairs. And my friends, that is the bald-faced truth of it.
Yes, absolutely. You know, we can see that. So we see the harm of that, not only in just like the feminist element where they refuse to submit to anyone, but also in the fact of the people who refuse to marry the men who beget their children. These, you know, the devastation, there truly is a crisis of fatherhood, and with fatherhood comes authority, right? And you see it even now. Like I was talking about this with a friend of mine the other day. There are those who want authority not for, but only for power, and there are those who have authority and don't use the power that is vested in them. And we see that this is a very distinct crisis that's going on in the church right now, particularly with our bishops, right? Because they are the true fathers who have a true authority that comes to them individually from God, who are submitting to an authority that they should not be submitting to.
That's right.
And so even men, you know, I mean, within the religious life, we can see that. So this crisis of fatherhood will, well, we can see the consequences. We're living them every day.
We are. The mother's submission, however, must not be. And so here's Father giving you a caveat, and going back to a point Sarah was highlighting. So the mother's submission, however, must not be unthinking, fearful, or cringing. It must be a submission reflecting her dignity as a rational creature who recognizes the need for order in the family, an order which implies having a head of the family.
Right.
A father's going to go on and say some more things that are pretty bold here, and here's one. A 50-50 arrangement where the husband and wife act as co-managers will lack the example of authority which the children need. They will be deficient in recognizing authority in other situations in life, in school, in the state, and in the church. Sarah pointed that out. The breakdown in respect for law and for figures of authority, such as teachers and law officials, such as police and leaders of state, all point back to a lack of authority in the family. The lack may well stem from not having a true head of the family, from a wife who shows no example of submission and of recognition of authority, which children can follow as a model.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's about as succinct as you can get. I mean, what a prophetic, tragically prophetic note to those of us 20 years later to see how corrosive the culture has been.
To me, it's a wonder Homiletics and Pastoral printed it 20 years ago, and it's a one. And I don't think it would actually get printed in most circles. I don't think they would take it up today. I think it's okay. Let's pick up. He's going to end hopefully on a good note here with his article. Till the next time, my friends, Fides, Vibracio.